Have you ever been in a relationship that felt like fireworks? The kind where every kiss feels electric, but every silence feels like torture? It's exciting. It's addictive. But here's the truth most of us don't want to admit. What you're feeling might not be intimacy. It might be intensity. And those two can feel very similar, until you learn how to tell them apart. Today we're going to break down the difference, why so many of us confuse them, and how to start building love that actually lasts. Defining intensity versus intimacy. Let's start with intensity. Intensity is fueled by extremes. It's the late-night overthinking, the adrenaline rush when you see their name pop up, the knot in your stomach when they take too long to reply. It's that feeling of being hooked on the relationship's highs and lows. It's also unpredictable. One day they're pouring affection on you. The next, they're distant, and you find yourself chasing them just to feel close again. This unpredictability isn't just in your head. Your brain is literally responding to this push-pull dynamic by releasing dopamine during the highs, and stress hormones like cortisol during the lows. That's why it feels so consuming. Now, intimacy is different. Intimacy is rooted in safety, trust, and emotional openness. It's not about dramatic highs and crushing lows. It's about steady warmth. It's the feeling that your partner sees you, accepts you, and stays consistent no matter what. If intensity feels like a roller coaster, intimacy feels like a safe harbor. And while the roller coaster is exciting, the safe harbor is what actually lets you grow and feel secure. Why we confuse the two. So why do we mistake intensity for intimacy? At first glance, intensity and intimacy can feel almost identical. Both create strong emotions, both make your heart race, and both can pull you deeply into another person's orbit. But they're not the same. In fact, confusing the two is one of the main reasons people get stuck in unstable or even unhealthy relationships. 1. Our brains are wired to notice highs and lows more than steady states. From an evolutionary perspective, our brains are designed to prioritize novelty and unpredictability. A sudden rush of attention after a period of distance activates our brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, the same neurotransmitter linked to gambling wins, social media likes, and addictive substances. That chemical hit feels exciting and euphoric, and it tricks us into thinking, this must be love. Meanwhile, genuine intimacy, built on trust, safety, and consistency, doesn't cause the same dramatic spikes in dopamine, so it can feel less thrilling in comparison, especially if we're not used to it. 2. Early attachment patterns shape what feels normal. If you grew up in an environment where love and attention were unpredictable, sometimes available, sometimes withdrawn, your nervous system learned to equate love with uncertainty. As a child, this meant you had to stay hyper-aware and ready to respond to changes in a caregiver's mood or availability. As an adult, that same wiring makes emotional highs and lows feel familiar and even comforting. Calm, steady love might feel off, simply because it's new to your system. 3. Intensity triggers survival instincts. When a partner pulls away, cancels plans, or seems emotionally distant, your body can respond as if you're in danger. Cortisol, your main stress hormone, spikes, increasing your heart rate and narrowing your focus. You become consumed by thoughts of the relationship. When the distance ends and closeness returns, your brain releases a surge of dopamine and oxytocin, the bonding hormone, creating an emotional relief high. Over time, you may unconsciously start craving these highs, not realizing they're just the flip side of the lows. 4. Movies, TV, and social media glamorize intensity. Popular culture often romanticizes dramatic reunions, jealous arguments, and whirlwind romances. We're shown that true love is passionate, all-consuming, and a little bit chaotic. Rarely do we see steady, respectful, mutually supportive relationships portrayed as desirable. This can make us think that if we're not experiencing constant fireworks, our relationship must be lacking. When in reality, healthy love feels much more like a warm, steady flame than an explosion. 5. Intensity hijacks your emotional regulation. In intense relationships, your sense of well-being becomes tethered to your partner's behavior. When they're loving and present, you feel elated. When they're distant or distracted, you feel crushed. This emotional dependency is exhausting, but because the highs are so good, It's easy to ignore the cost of the lows. True intimacy, on the other hand, allows you to feel secure and valued regardless of moment-to-moment fluctuations, because the foundation of trust is strong. Signs you're stuck in intensity. If you're wondering whether you've been mistaking intensity for intimacy, here are some signs to look for. Your mood depends entirely on your partner's attention or approval. It feels like your emotional thermostat is in someone else's hands. When they text back quickly, give you affection or validate you, you feel on top of the world. Confident, safe, and wanted. But when they're distracted, busy, or not as responsive, your mood plummets. You might feel rejected, insecure, or even question your worth. This constant emotional swinging creates a sense that your happiness isn't self-sustained, but borrowed from their approval. You feel anxious when you're not in contact, even for short periods. A few hours without a message can feel like days. Your mind might start spinning with, what if? Thoughts. What if they've lost interest? What if I said something wrong? Even if you logically know they might just be busy, the emotional discomfort feels real and urgent. You may find yourself checking your phone constantly, rereading past conversations for reassurance, or feeling restless until you reconnect. The relationship swings between extreme closeness and sudden distance. One day, it feels like you're perfectly in sync, sharing laughs, deep conversations, and physical closeness. The next, they might seem withdrawn, less affectionate, or preoccupied. This back and forth can be emotionally exhausting, leaving you unsure where you stand. You may find yourself chasing the closeness, trying harder to get back to that high point, which can make the distance feel even sharper when it happens again. You feel addicted to the highs, even if the lows are painful. When the relationship is good, it's really good. Almost euphoric. You feel alive, special, and deeply connected. These emotional highs release dopamine in your brain, creating a sense of reward and pleasure. But when things dip, the pain is equally intense. The contrast makes the highs feel even more precious, which can keep you stuck in the cycle. You start to crave the rush of reconnection after conflict or distance, even though the pattern leaves you drained over time. If these sound familiar, it's worth asking, is this connection nourishing me or draining me? How to shift from intensity to intimacy. So how do you step off the roller coaster and start building the kind of connection that's actually good for you? 1. Recognize the pattern. The first and most powerful step is awareness. Many people in anxious attachment cycles mistake the emotional rush after a period of distance as proof of love. But what's often happening is your nervous system craving relief from stress, not the presence of deeper connection. When you notice yourself feeling euphoric after making up from a fight or reconnecting after silence, pause and name it. This is my body seeking intensity, not necessarily love. That small moment of labeling helps you step back from the automatic emotional ride and see the cycle for what it is. 2. Redefine what love feels like. If you grew up associating love with unpredictability, emotional highs and lows can feel normal, even exciting. But real intimacy isn't about keeping your heart in constant suspense. It's steady, nurturing, and predictable. At first, that steadiness might feel too calm or even boring, because your body is accustomed to adrenaline and cortisol spikes. Remind yourself, calm is not the absence of love, it's the presence of safety. Over time, you'll learn that deep trust and emotional stability can feel just as fulfilling, without the burnout. 3. Build self-soothing habits. When anxiety kicks in, your instinct may be to reach for your partner's reassurance like a lifeline. While healthy reassurance is important, it's equally vital to learn how to regulate your own emotions. Try grounding exercises like focusing on 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. Practice deep belly breathing to lower your heart rate, or journal your thoughts to process them without acting on impulse. The more you build these habits, the less dependent you'll be on emotional highs to feel okay. 4. Communicate your needs directly. Anxious attachment often leads to indirect strategies for getting reassurance. Pulling away to see if they'll chase you, or clinging tighter when you sense distance. These patterns create more instability. Instead, try stating your needs in a clear, non-blaming way. I feel connected when we share a quick check-in during the day. Or, it would mean a lot if we could talk about our plans for the weekend. Direct communication builds trust and eliminates the guessing games that fuel anxiety. A healthy partner won't see your needs as a burden, they'll want to meet them. 5. Choose people who choose you. If someone shows up for you consistently, treats you with kindness, and makes you feel secure, but you find yourself feeling meh or restless, that's a signal worth exploring. Is it truly boring, or is it simply unfamiliar peace? Many people confuse the absence of chaos with the absence of passion, but in reality, peace is the fertile ground where love grows. Choose the person who makes you feel safe, respected, and cherished, not just the one who can make your heart race. Intensity might feel intoxicating, but it's not the same as intimacy. One is fueled by fear of loss. The other is fueled by trust. If you're tired of riding the emotional roller coaster, start paying attention to how a relationship feels in your body. Does it keep you in fight or flight? Or does it help you breathe easier? Because love that lasts doesn't keep you guessing. It keeps you grounded. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, follow the podcast and share it with someone who might be stuck chasing intensity. And remember, you deserve a love that feels like home, not a storm you have to survive.